What do you do when your kid is all tucked in, dreaming of Santa sliding down the chimney? But instead, your family gets a visit from the most deranged son of a bitch in a Santa suit? Spoiler alert, that ain't Santa, it's Art the Clown. Somehow, this homicidal lunatic has clawed his way back from the grave. And let me tell you, his latest crime spree isn't just worse than you've heard. It's biblical. A hellish holiday horror show dripping with carnage. And you know Art doesn't waste time, so neither will we. Let's unwrap the bloody gift that is Terrifier 3. It's just a few nights before Christmas in this quiet, cozy suburb. You know, the perfect setting where absolutely nothing ever goes wrong, right? The parents are snoring away, dreaming of eggnog and silent nights, while their little girl, Jules, comes wandering in, saying she heard something up on the roof. Mom brushes it off, probably thinking it's one of those Santa's up there with the reindeer moments, and sends her back to bed. Oh, Mom, if only you knew the nightmare about to come down that chimney. Later, Jules hears more noises and sneaks downstairs to check. And who does she see? Santa Claus. Except this Santa's got a vibe that's less jolly old elf and more the ghost of Christmas terror. Jules wisely hides, peeking from behind a door, as this not-so-holly-jolly St. Nick pulls an axe out of his sack and casually heads upstairs. You know, just like all the best Santas do. Upstairs, Mom is finally woken up, not by sugar-plum dreams, but by the sound of wet thwacks from the other side of the bed. She rolls over, only to find our dear Artie Claus hacking into her husband's skull like he's splitting firewood for the winter. She screams and bolts, but Artie's already in full holiday spirit. She doesn't make it far before she, too, ends up on the naughty list, as our merry butcher decorates the hallway with her blood, chopping off her arm like he's slicing through a holiday ham. After a little holiday carnage, Artie takes a well-deserved milk and cookie break. He even tidies up, washing his cup like a considerate guest. 2 down, 14 more to go. Nothing says Christmas like a nice body count. The film throws us back 5 years where a poor officer stumbles upon Art's headless body, chilling in the basement of the Terrifier ride. Dispatch says backup's on the way, but let's be real, backup won't be fast enough. The second this guy blinks, Art's body jumps up like it's on a timer, choking him out and even tanking 2 bullets to the chest as if they were just love taps. That's 3 down, 13 unlucky souls still left on Art's hit list. Next, Art staggers onto a subway, clutching the officer's severed head as his own. Just a clown on a commute, right? His first stop is the psychiatric hospital, where a security guard hears the kind of scream that makes you rethink your career choices. It's coming from Victoria's cell. Remember her? The one whose face Art chewed on like a midnight snack? Well, surprise, she's just given birth to Art's head. And now they're both ganging up on an unfortunate nurse who just happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time. Cackling like they're at the world's darkest comedy show, Victoria pins the guard to the wall while Art's headless body saunters in, and together, they get to work shredding the guard's face like it's a DIY horror project. Meanwhile, baby Art is on the floor, smiling away. 4 down, 12 to go. Family bonding at its bloodiest. Reunited, and it feels so twisted. Art and Victoria hop back on the train to his hideout. Along the way, they bump into an excited cosplayer. They humor him with a few photos before killing him off-screen and swiping his hat and horn. 5 down, 11 left. Art's got souvenirs now. After some rather, unique affirmations in the mirror, Victoria takes a casual bloodbath, while Art kicks back in a rocking chair up in the attic, and that's where they chill for the next 5 years. In the present day, Sienna, Art's would-be slayer, is fresh out of the Grippy Socks Hotel and staying with her Uncle Greg, Aunt Jess, and their daughter Gabby. Gabby looks up to Sienna like she's some kind of fantasy hero. Little do they know, the real demons from Sienna's past are about to crash this cozy family setup. Meanwhile, a couple of clueless demolition workers arrive at Art's old haunt, prepping to knock the place down. Jackson decides to freak his buddy out with a made-up story about a psycho killer. If only he knew. Dennis heads upstairs while Jackson checks the ground floor, and each finds something seriously off. Jackson spots a flickering light and discovers Vicky's body. Upstairs, Dennis bumps into a creepy clown lurking in the attic. Leaning in for a closer look, Dennis gets grabbed by Art, who smashes him against a wall, while Vicky greets Jackson with a shard of broken glass to the neck. Jackson, if you can believe it, gets the easier death, but Dennis isn't so lucky. Art pins his hand to the floor with a giant nail, bites off 2 fingers on the other hand like they're hors d'oeuvres, then pulls out a box cutter for the grand finale. He slices Dennis's scalp in half and peels it off like a twisted gift. That's 7 down, with 9 more unlucky souls to go. Back at Aunt Jess's place, Sienna is just trying to survive a normal family dinner without losing her damn mind. But nope, her dead friend Brooke decides to make an appearance. Like a zombified Jack from American Werewolf in London, Brooke keeps glaring at her and throwing passive-aggressive shade, blaming Sienna for her death. Oh, and she also asked for the rice, because apparently haunting someone isn't enough. She's got to be rude about it too. Sienna excuses herself before she has a public meltdown that'll ruin the mashed potatoes for everyone. Meanwhile, her younger brother Jonathan is off at college, trying to move on, but his roommate's girlfriend, Mia, is making sure he doesn't forget a thing. Mia's a true crime podcaster with an unhealthy obsession with Art the Clown, treating his murders like she's covering the Oscars. Big sis Sienna calls to check in, telling him how she's excited to see him over the holidays. But Gabby can tell something's off. To distract her, they bust out some face paints for a little family bonding. But downstairs in his evil lair, Art's getting way more creative. He builds a freaking liquid nitrogen sprayer, because why not, and tests it out on a poor rat. Bye-bye, Splinter. That makes 8 down, 8 to go. Later that night, over at a dive bar, a mall Santa is living his best life, soaking up attention from the ladies. But guess who's not on his nice list? Art, of course, who spots him through the window and decides he wants a turn on Santa's lap. Art bursts in, dragging his bag of horrors, acting like an overgrown kid at the mall. Santa, being a true pro, tells him to come on over and stays in character, even when Art tugs his beard. The bartender, clearly not paid enough for this crap, asks, "What's in the bag?" Big mistake. Art gleefully whips out his trusty bicycle horn, honking it in everyone's faces like he's running for most annoying. The bartender finally loses patience and asks for some ID, which Art helpfully provides, stolen from a dead construction worker naturally. Santa plays along and says, "Good enough. Bad move, Kris Kringle." Art responds by spitting his drink straight into Santa's face and marking his territory like a deranged dog, all over Santa's lap. Even the jolly old Saint Nick has his limits and looks ready to bail, but the bartender steps in, telling Art to beat it. Art, ever the wild card, pulls out a gun and casually drops both of them, leaving Santa shaking in his boots. Santa, now realizing he's next, tries begging for his life, but Art isn't here for redemption arcs. Instead, he strips Santa out of his costume like it's an audition for the world's worst Christmas pageant. Tying him to a chair, Art gears up to spread some truly horrifying holiday cheer. But wait, something's missing. The iconic white beard. Grinning like a lunatic, Art grabs his liquid nitrogen sprayer and freezes Santa's limbs one by one, while the poor guy screams in sheer agony. With his victim now a frozen popsicle, Art smashes his legs and arms into shards with a hammer, cackling like it's a Christmas party gone horribly wrong. For the grand finale, Art sprays a blast of liquid nitrogen directly into Santa's face, freezes his head solid, and smashes half of his skull with the hammer. He peels off the beard, slaps it on himself like he's upgrading his cosplay, and finishes with a grotesque touch, a giant carrot where Santa's nose used to be. And that's how our deranged jester makes 11 down, with just 5 more souls left to deck the halls with. Uncle Greg, in full dad mode, tells his wife he's not exactly thrilled with Gabby spending so much time with Sienna. His logic? What if her visions come back? Because nothing says holiday spirit like worrying your niece might go full-on psychic assassin at dinner. Aunt Jess still believes Sienna can turn things around, probably because denial is cheaper than therapy. Meanwhile, upstairs, Sienna is journaling like it's the 2000s Tumblr revival when she stumbles across a letter from Jonathan. In it, he lays out the whole Art works for a demonic spirit situation. Turns out Sienna's the yin to Art's yang, a magical good girl warrior who can actually take him down. Basically, it's Harry Potter versus Voldemort, but way bloodier and without all the awkward teen crushes. The catch? They've got to destroy the demon's vessel before things hit the end of days level of screwed. The next day, Sienna and Gabby hit the mall for some Christmas shopping. Gabby's on the hunt for the perfect gift for Uncle Greg, and Sienna's just trying to survive the chaos of the holidays without losing her shit. But then it happens. That goddamn jingle starts playing over the mall speakers, the Clown Cafe theme, Art's unofficial anthem of nightmares. Sienna freezes, her eyes locking on the entrance, where Art himself stands, decked out in his new costume and waving like he's running for mayor of hell. For a solid minute, Sienna can't do anything except stand there, and silently cry while Gabby shakes her like, "Snap out of it! Was it really him?" Oh, they're about to find out. After their unsettling mall trip, Sienna heads to see Jonathan at his school. She wants him to crash at Aunt Jess's place a few nights early, but Jonathan's got other plans. "Sorry, big sis, there's a party tonight," he says, like parties are a higher priority than surviving homicidal clowns. Enter Jonathan's roommate and Mia, his art-obsessed, true crime podcasting girlfriend. Mia predictably freaks out when she recognizes Sienna. Mia instantly goes into fangirl mode, ranting about how she has to interview Sienna for her podcast. Sienna, in no mood for bullshit, shuts Mia down faster than a Karen at a customer service counter. "Not today, Satan," she says probably, storming out. But then she drops the real bombshell on her brother. Art's back. Jonathan doesn't want to believe it, because who would? "Let's just move on," he says, as if that's an option. Sienna isn't having it, though. She reminds him about the letters he wrote, the research he did, and how it all lines up. They both realize the demonic spirit behind Art has likely found a new vessel, Victoria. There's no running, no hiding, and no one they can call. It's just them versus the most terrifying clown in horror history. The only upside? Art doesn't know about Sienna's magical sword, buried under the Terrifier ride. Yeah, that sword. The one that makes her the demon-slaying badass she's destined to be. Sienna takes off to retrieve it before it's too late, but not before warning Jonathan to keep his head on a swivel because, let's be real, Art loves making surprise house calls. Back at the dorm, Jonathan's losing his shit. He's convinced Sienna's either lost her mind or maybe he's the one spiraling into crazy town. Meanwhile, Sienna sneaks back to Aunt Jess's house, sword in hand, wrapped up like the world's deadliest Christmas gift. Gabby nearly catches her in the act, noticing her hands are dirty. Sienna fumbles some lame excuse about falling on the way home, because "I was out prepping for a showdown with a murderous demon clown" wouldn't exactly go over well, and heads straight to the bathroom to clean up. What she doesn't know is that Art's already crashed the Beta House Christmas Bash, the very party her brother's supposed to be at. But before he gets to the main event, he decides to pay a little pre-game visit to Jonathan's roommate, Cole. Cole tries calling Jonathan to see if he's still coming, but guess what? J-Man's gone radio silent. That doesn't stop Cole's girlfriend Mia from being her usual obsessed self. Apparently she didn't get the memo after Sienna ripped her a new one, because she's still hell-bent on getting Jonathan onto her true crime podcast. Too bad her real dream guest is already in the building. Yep, Art's lurking outside, eavesdropping on Mia as she gushes about how cool it'd be to meet him. Well, girl, be careful what you wish for, because your VIP pass to hell is about to get punched. Back at Aunt Jess's house, the family's having a chill night of board games until the news report comes on. There's been an explosion at the mall, and an eyewitness says they saw a creepy guy in a Santa costume at the scene. Sienna's heart sinks. She knows only one psycho mime could pull that off. Panicked, she blurts out the truth. Art is back. The room goes tense as she tries to convince everyone they're all in mortal danger. Aunt Jess and Uncle Greg aren't sold, but Sienna insists they call Jonathan right now. When she finally gets through, she can barely string words together, but Jonathan promises he'll get there as soon as he can. Once Sienna calms down, Aunt Jess gives her something to help her sleep, thinking it's all just in her head. Uncle Greg reluctantly heads out to pick up Jonathan, completely unaware that he's about to take the last ride of his life. Meanwhile, over at the dorm showers, Cole and Mia are getting all steamy, literally, when Art shows up, ready to turn their private moment into a blood-soaked nightmare. With his trusty chainsaw in hand, he fires it up, blasting through the glass like a clown-shaped Kool-Aid man. "Oh yeah," takes on a whole new meaning when he gets to work. Poor Cole tries to put up a fight, but Art doesn't play fair. The guy's barely holding on after losing a few fingers and, oh yeah, an entire leg. And Mia? Well, she finally gets that one-on-one with Art she's been fantasizing about, but it's more Texas Chainsaw than true crime podcast. Art gleefully slices her chest, tits and all, and then goes to town on her face, ripping it apart while she's still alive. And because he's nothing if not theatrical, he slips on a pair of holiday glasses to finish the job. But Art isn't done. Oh no, Cole's still twitching on the floor, so Art takes his chainsaw and gets creative. He cuts the poor guy from balls to brain, leaving him in two bloody halves. Then, in true Art fashion, he flops down in the mess to make a blood and guts snow angel. That's 13 down, with 3 more unlucky bastards to go. Late at night, Gabby wakes up to a weird-ass noise echoing through the house. Now, any sane person would pull the covers tighter and pretend they heard nothing, but not Gabby. She's got the horror movie itch and decides to investigate. Meanwhile, her dad rolls up to the dorms to pick up Jonathan, but when he calls him, something feels off. The kid's voice sounds weird, distant, almost demonic. Spoiler alert, it's because it is the demon. While all this chaos brews, Sienna's off in dreamland, reliving a bittersweet memory. She's a little girl staring at a drawing her dad made of her as some epic angel warrior, complete with a flaming sword that screams, "I'm not here to play." She loved it until she tried to take it, and her dad's face turned beet red as he gripped it tight, almost like he could see her future battles against pure nightmare fuel. Flash forward, and Dream Sienna finds herself in some hellish blacksmith's forge, watching a statue of Mary Boss around a demonic smith to craft her armor and sword. Cool as hell, but terrifying all the same. She wakes up in a cold sweat, back in her bed, with the clock flashing 2 a.m. Downstairs, voices start to rise. Sienna hears her aunt and uncle arguing, like seriously arguing. She sneaks closer, only to catch something straight out of a horror novel. They're talking about killing her while they still can. Before she can process this fresh slice of WTF, she heads toward the kitchen and freezes. Standing there is Victoria at the oven, looking like she just stepped out of a Welcome to Hell catalog. And Art? Oh, he's busy redecorating, nailing the roommate's headless body to the wall like it's the centerpiece for the worst Christmas party ever. Sienna panics and bolts for the stairs, but Art, being the overachiever that he is, grabs her before she gets far. She fights back like a champ, even manages to kick him off, but then he picks her up like she's a sack of potatoes and hurls her through the coffee table. Dazed but still scrappy, she reaches for her sword, only for Art to bash her over the head with his trusty mallet. Lights out. When she comes to, Sienna's tied to a chair with duct tape slapped over her mouth. Across the room, Aunt Jess is in the same boat, or chair rather, looking just as freaked. Between them sits something on the table, something bloody and ominous, because of course it is. Art's got his little sadistic grin on, giving Sienna a condescending pat on the head before turning to add some festive gore decor to the tree, complete with Uncle Greg's severed head as the star topper. Yep, Merry fucking Christmas. Victoria, ever the psychopath in chief, rips the tape off Aunt Jess's mouth and warns her not to scream. She doesn't listen. Big mistake. Art dramatically unveils his latest gift, a human skull stripped clean by demon rats, the flesh eaten off like it was a 5-star meal. The clowns demand a return gift, and Aunt Jess, refusing to back down, spits blood straight into Victoria's face. Hell yeah, Jess, but her rebellion earns her the worst imaginable death. Art grabs a thick glass tube and hammers it into Aunt Jess's throat as she gasps out a plea for Sienna to avenge the family. But the nightmare's not done yet. Art and his pet rats take things to another level. They heat the tube with a blowtorch, forcing the rats to crawl inside Jess's body, eating her from the inside out. Sienna watches, helpless, as Jess's throat is slit, spilling blood and rats in equal measure. But don't count Sienna out just yet. Our girl's got one last ace up her sleeve. With Aunt Jess now a gory memory, Vicky struts over to Sienna like she's got a sick new hobby and jams a crown of thorns onto her head. Not exactly the holiday accessory she asked for. They're not just trying to make her suffer, they want to break her spirit so badly that the demon can hitch a ride in her body. And how are they planning to achieve this masterpiece of evil? By offing everyone Sienna loves. Classic villain move. And guess what? Gabby's still alive. Sienna, being the self-sacrificing badass she is, offers herself up if they'll just let Gabby go. But Vicky, oh no, she's not here for negotiations. She's here for chaos. Meanwhile, Art casually picks up a skull, for ambiance, and sticks it on the fireplace with her brother's glasses on it, delivering the devastating reveal. Jonathan didn't make it. That's when the demon starts its possession attempt, trying to worm its way into Sienna while she's at her lowest. But surprise, surprise, Sienna's got a spine made of steel and manages to resist. Frustrated, the clowns decide to up the ante and turn their sights on Gabby. But then Gabby pipes up to apologize for not giving Sienna her present yet. The clowns, they find this hilarious. Mocking Sienna, Art tosses a long box at her feet and snarks for her to open it herself. Of course, there's a catch. There's always a catch. As soon as Sienna leans forward, Art comes over with a hammer the size of his ego and smashes both her hands into unrecognizable mush. Still tied up, Sienna somehow keeps struggling to open the damn box. Her mangled hands are basically screaming, "Call it quits!" But nope, This girl's all grit. Finally, she gets the box open and pulls out the sword. Oh, hell yes. Without missing a beat, she slashes Art's throat, cuts herself free, and, because Sienna doesn't half-ass anything, flings the sword straight through Vicky's chest. The demon, now spazzing out like a bad Wi-Fi connection, gets the final touch. A sword shoved straight through her mouth, followed by a classic decapitation. Boom, that's 16 down. But hold your applause. There's no rest for these two. As Sienna and Gabby catch their breath, Sienna asks how Gabby knew what was in the box. Gabby sheepishly admits she's that kid who always peeks at presents early. Heartwarming? Sure. But their bonding moment is rudely interrupted when Artie Claus charges in with his trusty chainsaw. This time, though, Sienna's got her magic sword, and she's not playing. She goes full warrior mode, battling Art into the kitchen and kicking his mime ass. For a moment, it's all going her way, until she nearly makes the same mistake her sister Tara did in Terrifier 1. This time, it costs her a nasty chainsaw slash to the stomach. But Sienna, she's built different. Even without her sword, she starts laying hands on Art like she's at a street brawl, slamming him into counters and giving as good as she gets. But Art isn't going down easy. He almost finishes her off by trying to shove her face onto the chainsaw. But Sienna's got a secret weapon, a literal ball grab. Yup, even clowns aren't immune to that kind of pain. The fight spills into the dining room, where Art's chainsaw gets stuck in the table. So he switches tactics and starts choking her out, with someone's intestines no less. Desperate times call for desperate measures, so Sienna bites straight through the intestine. Gross? Absolutely. Effective? Hell yes. Even Art seems a little shocked by that one. While Art's momentarily stunned, Sienna seizes her chance and stabs him in the chest, pinning him to the wall. Just when it seems like she's got him beat, the demon's blood starts melting through the floor, creating a portal that drags Gabby and the sword into the abyss. Sienna rushes to save her cousin, grabbing the sword's blade in the process, but she can't hold on. Gabby and the sword are gone, swallowed by the pit. When Sienna looks up, Art's nowhere to be found. He's pulled a Houdini out the window into the snowy night. As she pulls the crown of thorns off her head, Sienna notices her wounds are already starting to heal. She vows to rescue Gabby, no matter what it takes. Meanwhile, Art? Oh, he's just chilling at a bus stop like he didn't just orchestrate a massacre. A woman on board is reading a horror book called The Ninth Circle, and the driver casually mentions he prefers rom-coms. Wrong answer, buddy. Art boards the bus, sits across from the woman, and gives his signature creepy grin. With a honk of his horn and a devious smile, it's clear this clown isn't done yet. We'll just have to wait for the next installment to see if Sienna gets her revenge, or if Art has more gore up his sleeve. Terrifier 3, what can I say? It's like Terrifier 2 took a shot of adrenaline, chugged some gasoline and said, "Hold my beer." Damien Leone and the gang, they knocked it out of the park and into the hellscape with this one. And can we talk about the absolute flex of dropping this madness right before Joker 2 and stealing the spotlight? Like, sorry, Joaquin, but Art the Clown just made Gotham look like a daycare. Clown gang for life. So where are my fellow juggalos at? Honk if you're with me, or don't, because after this movie, I don't trust honking clowns anymore. But seriously, hit me up in the comments. What would you have done differently? Maybe made Art juggle chainsaws while riding a unicycle? Or given Sienna a flaming sword that shoots lasers? The possibilities are endless. And hey, if you're still in the mood for more cinematic nightmares, check out this video here. Until next time, stay safe, stay sharp, and for the love of everything holy, avoid creepy-ass clowns. Have a damn good day, y'all.